The venomous sting mercilessly robbed me of my faculties, snatching away not only my ability to hear, but also my command over motor skills. In an abrupt, cruel twist, I succumbed to an abyss of impenetrable darkness, hurtling downward like a speeding bullet within the confines of a high-velocity elevator. In that rapid descent, my senses were engulfed in a profound plunge, devoured by an unsettling silence and an all-encompassing absence of light. As the free fall eventually halted, I found myself ensnared within the deepest, most obscure void I had ever encountered, a stark departure from the luminous embrace of God's presence. Confronted by this revelation, I grappled desperately amid the murky shadows of bewilderment. Gradually, a concoction of discomfort and excruciating agony swelled, morphing into a cacophony of lamentation and cries echoing from what seemed like an infinite multitude of souls, a chorus that might have numbered in the millions. It metamorphosed into an overpowering symphony of sorrow. I yearned to flee this chasm of despair, but how? I existed as a voiceless apparition, devoid of corporeal form and lacking the means to move. Emerging from the depths of my soul, an urgent plea erupted, resonating endlessly within the vast void. God, help me. Abruptly, a colossal hand descended, lifting me from the abyss. As I ascended, the pained voices faded into distant echoes. My vision returned, unveiling a departure from earth, ushering me into an enigmatic realm abundant with conundrums. The circumstances of my arrival left me confounded, pondering the destiny of my corporeal form. In this domain, I encountered an assembly of entities, strangely familiar beyond temporal boundaries. They exuded profound affection and elation in my presence, their countenances veiled in an enigmatic shroud, reminiscent of forgotten reminiscences lingering at the periphery of my consciousness. One of them resembled my grandmother, but her face was unrecognizable. Wondering about Kathy, I started a flurry of inquiries. Instead of talking about her, they pointed to a distant figure to emphasize the importance of engaging with him. Thus, I spoke with this entity, but his voice was elusive, and his thoughts directly entered my mind. I asked why I was in this strange place, and he said he purposefully created me and longed for my company. Despite my modesty, he professed an unmatched love, surpassing even my grandmother's. He answered questions about adversity with, because goodness exists. He was omniscient. Navigating existence in this celestial abode, I gleaned insights into his profound understanding of my essence. I became akin to his favored child, enveloped within the expanse of his boundless affection. Subsequently, the conversation took a divergent course. He inquired whether I comprehended my state of, departure. I acknowledged this realization, prompting further inquiries about the cyclical nature of life, whether we were mere singular participants or recurrent inhabitants. His response provoked contemplation. We stood amidst a colossal hall replete with myriad doors, where he indicated that my resolution resided within. A choice presented itself: to linger or to traverse a threshold and inaugurate a new earthly existence. Puzzled, I pondered, how does one select a door? He elucidated, the door you choose constitutes your decision, a grand enigma. I mused over the prospect of repetitively electing doors, reliving existence time and again, a notion tinged with melancholy, reminiscing upon the hardships endured previously. He disclosed that some opt for a return, despite his preference for their abundance. Oblivion cloaks our memories upon departure, a surging potential sorrow. His intent remains the sanctity of life. Reaffirming the autonomy of my choices, his affection enveloped me once more. Delving into profound interrogations. Why harbour the desire to depart from me? The specifics of my response elude recollection. Thereafter, he inquired, "So, how do you perceive your state of departure?" Disinclined towards distress, yet overwhelmed by a profound sorrow for my inability to bid adieu to my parents, I suddenly reunite with my former self, a return whose path is unknown. I had to say goodbye to my parents after consciously choosing to leave an ethereal, all-encompassing paternal figure. But that choice was heavy. Terror, sorrow, and a sense of desolation prevailed. My final concession was giving up something divine for goodbye. I gave up for what? A return to earthly life, resuming my life plan, to say goodbye to my parents. It summarizes the story. Unfortunately, my father died 4 years later, leaving me here, forever separating from my mother. As the narrative thread of Kathleen's chronicle gradually unravels, it prompts introspection. Could she have, during her transcendental experience, engaged in a dialogue with the divine? Perhaps her inquiries strike a chord resonant with your own experiences. I invite you to share your reflections in the comments. Remain secure until our next exchange, and revel in the plethora of joys that life continually bestows upon you.